It was 10:30 when she strolled in. I stood there with my back turned to her, a cross in one hand and holy water in the other. The only light that was in the house of God was the fire from the candles and the little moonlight that shone through the stained glass. I could hear each one of her steps. It echoed with a horrid clack each time. She took her time approaching me. She knew what my true intentions were. It greeted me with a false confusion. This angered me beyond belief. I started to quote the Bible to anger the demon inside, make it feel the pain of the Lord's word. I pushed her down into one of the pews and dashed to the door, where I had set up a barricade. There was no getting in, and there was no getting out. The demon took a while getting up. It wasn't intimidated in the least, although it was shocked due to my preparations and precautions. She tried to run away from me, but I had made it impossible. I would not allow the creature to go loose once again. The demon tried to reason with me, but I stayed devout and true to my mission. I tossed a blanket with a large cross on it over top of her, in hopes to trap her and perform the exorcism. It was futile. Her anger finally burst forth, lighting the blanket on fire as she tossed it off without effort, knocking over a candle in the process. "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" the demon screamed. The words pierced my ears and echoed through this holy church. I didn't scream back. I kept my composure and noticed that the church was now alight. The fire was spreading fast, faster than I would have thought. It wasn't long before we were surrounded by flame and smoke. I knew that this was the sacrifice I would have to make to keep my Lord pleased with me. I knew I wasn't making out of this building alive. I had to save everybody from this abomination. The demon struggled with me, trying to take me down and escape the inferno she created. I had God on my side, and he was giving me the strength to combat the demon. I plunged my hands into the holy water and went for her eyes. I gouged them out, while hearing the sweet smolder of demon flesh up against the purest of waters. The demon backed away, pushing me away with the strength that sent me flying. I heard a great crash. Startled that it might have been some other trick for me, I jumped to my feet and frantically looked for the harlot. I was pleased to see that a support had fallen and crushed her lower body, trapping her inside. Her screams echoed through the halls. It was good that nobody else was there to hear her lies. Tears of blood poured down her face, and her true form was now showing. She growled and bargained with her dying breaths. The young girl's skin boiled, sizzled, and peeled. Pustules burst all over her once perfect complexion. Blood streamed down her face as she radiated with immense heat. "Help me! Why are you doing this?" she questioned. Her pleas fell on deaf ears, as I would not have any of the she-devil's poisonous words. There was only one thing ever created that could seduce a man of God, that was as pure as I was. A vile creature called a succubus. I was not in control of myself when I threw away my innocence. A lust unlike any other overcame me, and I made sure I was putting this horrific event to an end. I stood there and watched over her as she drew her last breaths. She tried to reach for me, but I was just out of arm's length. Then she passed, falling completely limp. Now she lay dead, and I had saved the world from the end of days. I calmly passed her lifeless body, looking down on her deformed corpse. A tiny, bloody, infantile hand stuck out from the rubble, moving ever so slightly, wanting to be caressed, wanting to be loved. I couldn't feel the intense heat. I was filled with hate and love at the same time. I was captivated by the small, bloody hand. It took so long for me to realize this was all my fault. If I was only a stronger man, if I was only that much more holy, devout, I would have been able to prevent this whole catastrophe. The splinters of wood jabbed into my knees as I knelt down to touch the minuscule hand, my index finger gently caressing it. How could I, a man of God, have created such an innocent-looking, terrifying beast? The Antichrist. A tear rolled down my cheek. No, not just one. Many. This was my child. I made this. And now I have put an end to it before it had a chance of life. And to ruin humanity. I looked around and perceived what I had done, what had become of what I had built all of these years in service to my Lord. It was burning and crumbling to the ground. No chance of any salvation. This scene, it looked so familiar to the dream I had. Was this the end of days? No, it couldn't be. I had followed the Lord's orders. I had saved the world from rapture. In a daze, I had made my way to the back room that was prepared for my release. A chair and 4 feet of rope were strewn before me. I was ready to meet my Lord. I have the blood of a demon on my hands. I did the bidding of my Lord. I can only hope that it was enough for him to forgive me. I brought the noose around my neck and kicked the chair out from underneath me. I leave the decision to him. He can grab the rope and pull me up to heaven, or he can let the rope burn along with my body and soul down in hell.